Welcome back to Holonet Weekly, your go-to source for all your competitive Star Wars Unlimited news. This is J. Rod and Balls, and today's episode we're going to take a look at the result of the first U.S. sector and all the results from the other PQs this weekend. We see Cad Bane finally getting suspended, so we're going to talk about what that means with the meta going forward.
Quick question of the week. Is the Cad Bane ban enough, or do you think we need more? Let us know in the comments, and while you're there, like and subscribe. We're pretty quiet on the rest of the news for Star Wars Unlimited this week, so we're just going to jump right into the weekend winners. First, big congratulations to Cade for taking down the sector main event in Indianapolis. Of course, this was a premiere, and he had Cad Bane Blue. The top 8 had 5 Cad Blues again, and unlike Germany, Cad was able to take this one down. Cade had a pretty insane run, starting 2-2, and he didn't drop a match for the rest of the tournament. So congrats again to Cade for winning with Cad Blue for this event.
Yep. So taking a look at our limited PQ winners, we had 5 of those this past weekend. We had Bonta Network, A Drink Water over in the UK, Wilbur Wong in Australia, Arctic Ace 26 in Mansfield, Texas, T-Bugs over in Yuma, Arizona, Raznaz
and Aquatic.
Sorry.
You missed Aquatic.
Canada. And then Harry over in Croatia. Congratulations to all of our limited winners, and I'm sorry for butchering those names. And I think next week, when we look forward to the limited sector here in the U.S., we'll talk a little bit more about limited.
For sure. And maybe give me the international list next time.
Yeah.
We had 2 Eternal events this weekend. We had 1 PQ, and then the Open after during the Indianapolis sector was Eternal as well. So we had God Guile with Yoda Datavolt in Spain, and it was a Colorado Cantina crew, Kyle Craft, with the twin sons Anakin Datavolt winning the Indianapolis Open. Congrats to both of you. No surprise to anyone who's been paying attention to these Eternal winners. Blue Hero Datavolt has been sweeping almost every event.
Yep, and I don't pay attention to Eternal, so I don't know why it's strong. It just keeps winning. Jumping over to Premier, we had a staggering 22 Premier PQs this past weekend. So we're just going to knock out all the Cad Bane winners here at the beginning. And we had also, not only on the PQs, but then Cade obviously won the sector on Cad Blue. So then we had, for all the other ones, we had T85 Challenge over in Germany. We had Blonde Goblin, also in Germany. Gustavo Kenzo over in Brazil. Ozorea Jedi in Spain. Oxymoronic over in Malaysia. Bestia Rebels in Spain. Philip Pudak over in Estonia, Mike Drop over in Idaho, and then Alexandre in Brazil. And we're gonna have a shout out to T85 Challenge. He won his second PQ this weekend, and I kind of know we all want to just roll our eyes when it comes to Cad Bane winning an event, but still, winning a PQ is a pretty big accomplishment. So congratulations to y'all.
You gotta draw true. Not all Cads win. Next, we have a couple of other leaders that won multiple PQs, so we'll go through those. We have Royov in China, Ali G in UK, and Lucas Walter in Switzerland on Krennic Blue. We had EC Dark Rider in France, Oshram in Mobile, Alabama, and Kiralia in Canada on Luke 4 Datavolt. TSF Nazgul with Talzin Yellow in Germany, and Daylighter with Talzin Red in Greer, South Carolina.
Yep. And to round off the rest of our winners this past weekend, we had Gipke on Deja Colossus over in Poland, Infreezed on Grief Red in Dubai, Dressier on Thrawn Yellow over in New Zealand, Lenoto on Boba Lake Country in Germany, and then Baldone 87 on Vader Yellow over in Italy. We're going to shout out to Gibkey here as well, and for him winning his second PQ. He actually won one on Lando Blue, and then now just won on Daedra Colossus.
Some diversity right there. One
Mm-hmm.
last congratulations to all of our weekend winners. With Cad getting suspended, let's see how the dominoes fall. So let's jump right into our meta snapshot.
Okay, Cad is officially suspended, and that's going to be starting here on August 31st. I think we all got kind of what we were looking for. So now the question is, what happens next?
Well, that's TBD. I'm still playing CAD this upcoming weekend. I
Yeah.
well give him the last run. I was really anticipating because they did it on a Monday. I was like, well, they'll just ban him for this upcoming PQ weekend, like or
Right.
suspend him is the term. I found it pretty crazy that they announced it on Monday and they're like, all right, we'll give you like they could have just what's the difference?
And that's the thing is I don't understand. There's like why? We already know the day. Like they announced the stream last week. We all
With this
knew what it was
picture,
going to be.
with this
I mean,
picture on it.
we knew 2 weeks ago from someone that works at FFG, right, that CAD was going to get banned. So why are now from when we knew back then and they made that decision to now 3 weeks later? I don't get it. I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't know. I've played CAD a couple of times in a few P. Was it two PQs now?
Yeah.
I haven't had the luck of the draw a lot of these times, so I don't know. Maybe I'm just a shit player, but whatever.
And so with Cad being gone, and I think we mentioned it before. Cad was obviously very good, but I don't think was him himself was crazy, right? It was all the support around him. So now with him being banned, it's like there was plenty of people also calling for things like Pre Vizsla and Chimera, those things being too strong. So what do we think?
I don't know.
How do we think about what will happen with those still being legal?
I don't know. I think that well, CAD was strong. It could ping anything essentially on
Right.
turn one and keep pinging people throughout the game. Whereas other ones had conditions, right? So like I think they did mention that they're not going to touch like Chimera and Previsla because the point is to get the legendaries up to a
Right.
legendary
I
status.
agree. I agree.
So I'm cool with that. What would technically replace CAD? Maybe a Boba in a similar shell, right? Obviously, change out some stuff for indirect damage.
Right.
Um, Maybe even Deidre, right? Like you play this a similar deck with Deidre, but you have to pay one for the potential of two damage, right? So it's not
Right.
as oppressive as a CAD. But I don't know. I
I
don't know.
think I think Boba the Boba 4 pilot, right, is the one that naturally fits in the best, right? You add topple again, a few indirect things, and you're still doing a lot of the same things that the Cad Bane was doing, right? And of course Daedra and any of these like high value kind of slower decks like Krennic and Lando as well. I think will all still be good.
Yeah, I mean, I was looking actually earlier today. I'm in a hotel, right? So I'm not home. I
Right.
was out at some event, and I'm looking. I'm like, I was just waiting for some stuff to happen. So I'm looking through my phone. I'm like, what leader could replace Cat? I'm
Yeah.
looking at Sudi me, and I'm like looking at specifically red and or blue villain leaders. Not many popped out that's got that quite of a leader ability like Cad did,
And
except
I
for
and I think when you look at it too, it's like Luke and Vader pilot will always be good, right? I think they're going to be good until they end up rotating. Um, and with those other, what we already mentioned, I call them the high value decks, right? Those are all still going to be running hyperspace disaster, so that's messes with those Lukes and Vader decks. We've seen Ahsoka. Ahsoka did well, right? Didn't top 8, but I mean, it was right there the
Well,
entire time.
there's an Ahsoka in the top 8 in sectors.
Oh, there was one. Oh,
Yeah,
it's two Landos in Ahsoka.
I believe. Yeah,
Right.
the guy from ECL, I think, had Ahsoka.
Yeah, you're right. Never mind. There was one.
Yeah, so Ahsoka
She,
made it to
she's right.
top 8, and we had the
Right.
Lando. And well, do we now have nothing to stop Lando? Was Lando just going to dominate again like he did last time?
I mean, here's the thing. I think if you have a fast deck, it'll be able to beat it, right? And that's why you see the Luke pilots and the Vader pilots, right? Um, It'll be interesting to see if a leader like Sabine, right, that we for set 8, see if she comes up, because I think she's pretty strong, right? She's definitely strong and limited, but now without your shields getting pinged for free, do we see her get a higher stake? Because she did at least no, I know she's top dated one PQ so far this
Yeah.
season. Didn't win it, but we could see more of her.
I don't know. There's something about giving my opponent 2 advantage tokens that just doesn't sit right
But
with me.
the way that deck plays though is you're playing with a lot of ambush units anyway. So you give them
I
a 2
understand.
advantage. You ambush in and you control your unit loses a shield, but their unit's dead. So you're getting
Yeah,
born advantage that way.
I understand. I just don't like it.
Yeah. Well, we got a week left of CAD, and after that, we got to try to figure out what's next.
Lando, Boba, one of the 2 will rise. Krennic
Yep.
looks fun. I don't know. I'm still trying to think like what I could just plop into that CAD shell. But
Boba.
maybe I'll let the smarter people smarter than me at this stuff,
Boba.
decide that for me. All right. Well, I think that's it for this week's Meta Snapshot. With the sector this past weekend, we had some of the best players around the United States competing. So let's see what made our Codebreaker play of the week.
All right, this play comes from McClunky Gaming YouTube. They're the one who are streaming the entire sector for the weekend, and their link will be in the description. So to kind of set the stage for this play, you're going to see Joe playing Sabe Data Vault, and when you're looking at the screen shot, I'll have on screen. Most of his units will already be exhausted. We'll see Dan, who's playing Shinhati, actually deploy he'll deploy his leader and plot out a snub fighter to exhaust his Phoenix in space, which has 5 attack on it. And then now Dan is facing 19 damage on board. And with him only showing 7, so we're going to see what happens.
17 on Dan's base as Joe pulls ahead in that damage race, 17-15. As the action is back over to Dan, feels as though deploying Shinhati leader unit is the right call. Do we have anything being plotted out week 2? That's massive. The lurking snub fighter will exhaust the Phoenix Squadron A-Wing. That is another 5 damage that has been thwarted on Joe's side of the board. And just like that, Joe went from having lethal on the board this action phase to no longer having that option.
Yeah, this game is going to be won by a thread on either side. Both players have to tread very carefully to be able to get the damage into that favorable position for them. Now, Dan has to make a decision. The spies are such juicy targets to attack. You take nothing back by hitting them and getting them off the board, but they're also only 2 damage, right? What makes more sense right now? They can be exhausted from that Shinhati ability on a swing as well, and it looks like Dan does decide. Shinhati unit swings in, gets a spy exhausted. That puts Joe to 19. That's 14 HP left to be able to chew through, and a lot still on the board, still 10 damage on board. So Dan can put Joe into the spot where Joe is 1 attack away from victory, and Joe actually can't quite get there now thanks to all of that exhaustion. Just going to play a Jyn Erso and get looks like taking the experience counter onto the available spy.
Spy token now a 1-3 would attack 4-3. The Warrior of Clan Ordo attacking Joe's base, so 22 damage on Joe's base. Once again, the aggression aspect is disclosed, and Yellow Aces Bomber just being played now to support the spy token. More damage going through. That's a big hit. That's 5 damage because of that extra on attack ability from the support on the Yellow Aces Bomber. The spy is upgraded 2 extra damage, and that means with just 5 HP left on Dan's base, Joe has claimed the initiative, and Dan has used up his resources. Shinhati is the only unit that's ready, and he needs another 8 damage. He doesn't have it. There's the handshake, and it's Joe Kasinga taking down the opening feature match here in Indianapolis.
All right, so we can see that Joe played it perfectly, right? He gets the 3 damage with the Crix, even gets one of his spies exhausted by the Shinhati ability. He gets the XP upgrade from the Jin to be able to push 5 damage and set up a 1-swing lethal next turn.
Yep. Yeah, and a lot of people, might have not played that right. Maybe played it more passive, tried to exhaust with the Jin, and not really see that line to push through the damage. So turning that bad situation around to win it, it earns our Codebreaker Play of the Week. And so congratulations to Joe.
Yeah, well played. Well played.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. Well, that's it for this week. As we look ahead to the last week of Cad Bane being legal, we have another whopping 30 events coming up, and I will be at one of them. Are you coming to Austin?
Probably not, but we'll see.
All right.
Yeah.
So all you Cad lovers, you have one last ride with him. Here's a quick snapshot on your screen of everything that is coming up, and there'll also be a link in the description. That is it for us this week, and we'll see you back here next week with all the results from the weekend. This has been your update here at Holonet Weekly.